Cubist paintings can be difficult to look at. Picasso painted this more than a century ago, but it's still a challenge for viewers. There are two big, simple questions that we need to ask. First, what are we looking at? And second, is it worth the effort? Although at first it may just look like a tangle of angular shapes, there are actually quite a lot of identifiable objects in this painting. In the centre is a bottle of liqueur with its name, Mark, on the label. Once you find the two sides of the bottle, the neck and stopper also become readable. Beside the bottle is a glass of brown liqueur fringed with white. Part of the lip of the glass is visible, and possibly the stem below too. To the right of the bottle is a violin. Most of it is invisible, but the top of the neck, the scroll, and a tuning peg can be seen. Given the neck, some of the shapes below may suggest the body of a violin, at least to some viewers. There aren't the F-holes that Picasso sometimes includes, but there is a rounded shape below, which could be the base of the violin. At the bottom right is a calling card with Gertrude Stein's name on it. Stein was an important early patron of Picasso and bought this painting in 1914. Picasso may have included her name as an acknowledgement of her support, or perhaps as an incentive to buy. Next, there is a scroll at the end of a chair arm, which rhymes with the scroll on the violin, and below it are three tassels from the fringe of a tablecloth. To the left is a clay pipe, rendered as a cone and a cylinder. The open bowl of the pipe is shown as a circle without any foreshortening, and a cross-section in black is overlaid on the shape. Above the pipe are more words, Marjolie, the title of a popular song, and also Picasso's nickname for his then-girlfriend Eva Goel. Below the words are some lines of a musical stave, and possibly some notes as well. The clay pipe rests on the sheet music. Further up, there is a salt shaker, also represented as a cone with a circle on top, and just behind that is a ruler. Finally, at the top of the painting are two more rhyming objects, a curving curtain tie and a rectangular picture frame, both shapes divided into sections like twined rope. People have identified quite a lot of objects in this painting, but the list doesn't account for everything we can see. There are all kinds of marks and shapes on the canvas that could, in the future, be resolved as more objects. This leaves the question of why people would want to look at Cubist paintings. Later in life, Picasso made a surprising statement about the value of his Cubist paintings. He said, "The attributes, those things we've been looking at, the attributes are the few points of reference designed to bring one back to visual reality, recognisable to anyone. Their mind thrusts forward into the unknown, and they begin to recognise what they didn't know before, and they increase their powers of understanding." This is a big claim. He says that because people can see enough in the paintings to recognise certain objects, but because they don't see the whole thing, they seek and discover purposefulness in what looked at first like random marks. This process, he says, increases people's powers of understanding. In other words, it makes them smarter. It's a big claim, but there are limits to it which are worth noting. First, it's a claim, not a proof. Just because Picasso says it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Second, it's possible that it is true and yet not that important. People have made similar claims for crosswords and Sudokus, but no one goes back to look again at a completed Sudoku. However, I suppose you could argue that a Cubist painting is never completed or solved in that way. Whenever you return to it, you find more perceptual puzzles that get your brain working again. Nevertheless, the puzzle aspect of a Cubist painting could just be a byproduct. It may not be the real source of its pleasure and value. The objects in the painting are represented in a partial way. Picasso doesn't show the whole of any object, but what he calls an attribute, just enough, most of the time, to make the object's presence recognisable. He also spoke about this aspect of his paintings and said, "At the time, everyone talked about how much reality there was in Cubism. but they didn't really understand. It's not a reality you can take in your hand. It's more like perfume, in front of you, behind you, to the sides. The scent is everywhere, but you don't quite know where it comes from. A picture of a complete object would be the kind of reality that you could imagine taking in your hand. But I don't expect many people think about picking up the violin in this painting. So there is a reality being referred to. This is not an abstract painting, but the texture and weight of individual objects is unimportant. He's much more interested in how the multiple partial perceptions of our immediate environment give rise to the sense of a real and coherent world out there. The painting's realism comes from the dynamic, intricate relationships among its objects, not from any single item. Being able to identify some of the objects helps viewers to orient themselves in the painting. It's an important leaping off point, but it's only the beginning of the play between viewer and artwork, where each asks questions of the other. The real value of the painting lies in its ability to persuade viewers to look at the world from its perspective. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe, and visit my channel, Think of a Picture, where you'll find lots more short, thought-provoking videos. Thank you.